Discussions here with, of course, Mheshimiwa, I'm laughing because of a conversation that's going on before. Mheshimiwa Kangata is with us, Senator Muranga, Chris Wamalwa is here with us, and also Anthony Olwoch, Parliament of members of Parliament as well. We want to go straight to it. Disquiet brewing in Jubilee following claims that some people close to President Kenyatta are plotting Deputy President William Ruto's downfall. And of course, this of Mheshimiwa Olwoch alluded to it. Appearing on Citizen TV Sunday Live, the Senate Majority Leader Kipchumba Murkomen claimed that some people are pushing the lifestyle audit narrative, of course, exposing what seems to be some cracks in Jubilee. Let's take a look at that story by Enoch Sekolia.
Harambe Avenue, the avenue that separates Harambe House on my right from Harambe Annex on my left. Now, some legislators in Jubilee Party are claiming that some individuals in Harambe House are undermining the occupant of Harambe Annex.
I believe that the investment that those people are putting in driving a wedge between the president and the deputy is so huge, and to a great extent, to me, it's creating faults.
In every word, the principal Jubilee leader in the Senate expressed frustrations over the happenings in the ruling party. Kipchumba Murkomen stating how things are slowly falling apart in the Jubilee House. The senator for Elgeyo Marakwet being forced to remember with nostalgia when things were so rosy in the party headed by President Uhuru Kenyatta.
In the first 5 years of Jubilee governance, there was harmony, comradeship, good relations, good consultations, more party meetings, more PG meetings. There must be something that happened in those 5 years that is now being reversed when we come to the situation of saying the president has now achieved what he wanted. Now some people are saying he doesn't need anybody.
Disagreements in the Jubilee party have been in low tones, but some legislators in the ruling party have publicly pointed out where the problem is. They say the war on graft has a 2022 election agenda.
Lakini tumejua hii lifestyle audit kuna mtu wana target. Na hiyo target ni succession politics ya 2022 ya kujaribu kuangamiza nia na dhamira ya viongozi fulani.
This statement came on the heels of President Uhuru Kenyatta's directive that all public officers, including him, undergo a lifestyle audit. The head of state has renewed the fight against corruption, and this has left his party torn in the middle. Leaders allied to the DP opposing with passion some of President Kenyatta's new policy on graft.
If you have those people being the ones who are influencing direction of where the government is, with only a single agenda that we must achieve separation of the president and deputy, no wonder some of the things that people are debating in public are actually as symptoms of that policy direction that a few people are trying to craft.
If you're working for the president, then there's nobody around the president who is going to undermine you, because our work is to align ourselves to the president's policies and agendas. So if somebody is actually it's not possible to undermine the deputy president if the deputy president is aligned to the president.
Jubilee's finger of blame is not just pointing at Ruto's neighbors across Harambe Avenue. They have NASA leader in the picture.
I really don't see where Raila Odinga is coming in. It is very, very simple. The president is categorical. His vigor in the fight for corruption has increased.
Starting from the deputy president to the lowest person, we take orders from one party leader, the president. What he says is what we do.
Enoch Sekolia, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Right, of course, that's the story I want to take a focus on. Gujiru Mbugu there saying that if the deputy president is aligned to the president, then he should not be attacked. Question is, in 2022, are they aligned? That's what people have been asking. Some people foresaw this coming. Last year, people already started talking about cracks in Jubilee. I guess we'll ask you, Mheshimiwa Kangata, let's begin with you. Do you believe that there are cracks in Jubilee? Do you believe that there's a deliberate attempt to stifle the Deputy President's 2022 bid and ambitions?
Yes, on one hand, there are no cracks between the president and the deputy president. I think the relationship is very cordial. The discussions between the two are very strong. In any event, some of us got the positions that we hold through direct appointment by both of them. Mr. Murkomen is the majority leader by virtue and appointed by the president, notwithstanding he's a known ally of the deputy president. Myself, I'm the deputy whip in the Senate by virtue of an appointment by the president and also his deputy. So the point is, I disagree with anyone creating an insinuation as to whether the two are having an issue. In any event, the president has not backtracked in public his commitment that is going to support the deputy president come 2022. That is still in public realm. Those of us who are diehard supporters of the president, we believe in that commitment, and therefore I disagree there's any discord between the two. But on the other hand, there are some what we call state mandarins, state bureaucracy, who have no doubt about it, they have an issue with the deputy president, and for obvious reason, that once he assumed power, they don't see themselves being in those offices for long. They are in those offices in their thinking by virtue of having maybe a direct access to the president, and therefore, once that changes, they will lose some trappings of power. They foresee that. I think, for instance, even in Kibaki regime, if you can recall, when people started supporting Uhuru Kenyatta, there were some state mandarins who were not comfortable with his presidency. You can recall, he even at one moment was somehow cajoled to renounce his candidature, to support another candidate, only for him to change his mind. And he admitted he has been cajoled there by some state mandarins.
Or Madimoni.
Yes. So the point is, it happens. Those people, they are there now in government. They have an issue with the deputy president. And I think it is obvious. It is natural. The only problem I have with my leader, Mr. Murkomen, is to why raise a fracas, because that's a natural phenomenon. It happens whenever we have a transition.
However, just before, because Mheshimiwa Wamalwa immediately began speaking, said a big no, and I'll ask him why. But for Murkomen, again, I go back to his regarded as one of the closest people to, closest supporters and allies to the deputy president, to come on Sunday Live with Hussein Mohammed. If you go on YouTube, it is a 59-minute interview. And all he spoke about was that there are people, like he said in the interview, the clip that showed there, that are hell-bent on causing sort of, a rift, and to some extent also saying that there is a problem. And like the Standard says that there is targeting our man in this case, Deputy President William Ruto. Maybe your thoughts on that, and you know, are there cracks? Should we see some warning signs?
You know,
as to what the future portends.
When you read Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe, he says, when the center cannot hold, things fall apart. This is what we are seeing in Jubilee. And very soon, I don't think Jubilee is going to hold. In the first term of President Uhuru's regime, it is true, the relationship that President Uhuru had with his deputy, very cordial. My brother. In this term, I think everybody who can analyze this objectively by watching the trend will tell you the president has demonstrated that after crossing this bridge of the second term, I don't need the deputy president. And it has been said openly. We've seen the tone changing from ndugu yangu. We are hearing kutangatanga. We are hearing my audit will be done, ya huyu pia. So my brother has become na huyu. Can you see the body language? Things are changing. Things are falling apart. We should not be able to hide. From the look of things, it has been demonstrated, shown clearly, that the president has said, I don't need him. And this is not the first time. This betrayal in the city has been there since the time of Raila Odinga and President Kibaki. Remember, Raila said, Kibaki tosha. Come 2007. And they were together in the same government. When he was the prime minister, what happened? The president changed in a quiet manner. And President Uhuru and President Kibaki are totally different. President Uhuru will come out and say something. Some people say it's a slip of the tongue. Kibaki was a quiet man. And no quiet people are very dangerous. You don't know what they are planning. You see how they managed to snooker Raila. Come 2013, the Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka was also betrayed. He went to support Kibaki, and he expected to have been supported in 2013. And his style of politics, you know, when you are quiet, people not be able to know what you think about. And it says still water runs deep. Kibaki was that type. So come 2013, what happened? Did Vice President Kalonzo get in support from Kibaki? He did not. Lucky enough here now, we have at this President Uhuru who speaks. So can be able to read. And William Ruto, he's also calculating. He's looking for a way of mitigating. And it's good it has started early. You know, he has seen clearly that he's not assured of that support from the president. Because from all of a sudden, from ndugu yangu, my brother, imekuwa huyu. How can the deputy president become huyu? Things are not adding up. How can it say kutanga-tanga? No. Things are not holding up. And this is the time when it comes to succession. And you cannot bring Raila Amolo Odinga in this. He has nothing totally to do with this. Raila has been tear-gassed, has been beaten up every now and then when we were doing the peaceful demonstrations. So this is the war in Jubilee. And Senator here, he knows it. In fact, of late, he's really watching out his steps towards the DP. He also used the DP, he got 5 roads. Can you imagine? He got 5 roads while other people have not gotten anything, and we are all taxpayers. Of late, he's very quiet. He's talking of Peter Kenneth.
Yes,
this is the truth of what's going on. So really, we are yet to see more. We are yet to see more, and things are not holding up.
You see,
hold on. Let him...
this is the truth of the matter, that in Jubilee, things are falling apart. And you can't just underestimate what Murkomen is saying. They've been keeping quiet for so long, but they are seeing this narrative gaining momentum. So the issue of succession in 2022, I don't think William Ruto is going to have it easy. We have people somewhere ganging up to fight. They don't want him to take over. You know, these were the things they were just going for the sake of votes. The 2013, 2017, 2022, we are being told William Ruto will rule for another 10 years, including Kangata. Have you seen him saying that? He's very quiet. He wants to know how things are.
No.
He just told me.
No, look here. Okay. No, I can't allow him.
But that's the truth of the matter.
It is not true. Because look here.
Yes.
First, there was a fundraiser this weekend in Rift Valley. That fundraiser was organized by one Sudi, who is known to be a diehard supporter of Ruto. You saw me attending that rally, right? Yeah, and I went there.
What did you say?
It is in public realm, right? Isn't it? You saw me. You have just confessed that. I said we are going to support Deputy President's camp 2022. The only bargain we wanted is that he ought to support, at least to include one of our own there. And one of our own for now is Peter Kenneth.
Why not a
and we are going to go to hold on. We are going to go to the one of our own.
So the point is, no, I want to demolish that thing he was saying at he was saying, I don't know at
So you're on record as saying that you're still supporting the deputy?
Yes, I am.
On condition that you get a DP of one of your own.
Mheshimiwa has been quiet, just like Kibaki. Let us see.
Very dangerous.
No, I know why.
Hold on.
This is one of the culprits behind some of.
No. You can't go that direction.
No,
you know this idea that that there is some mandarins behind. Well, there may be some truth to it, because in every succession phase, you remember when Kibaki was exiting, there were all these machinations, and the inner state always have their candidate. Let me tell you, the NSIS, the State House operatives, they will always have a candidate. So you cannot rule out that there are people who are uncomfortable with William Ruto. But I think those are not the only people who are uncomfortable with him. I think he's alluded at the president himself showing discomfort. I mean, what happened to the folded shirts and the uniform ties and the famous handshakes here to Kopamoja and all these things. That time, what was putting these people together was, one, fighting the Hague issue, and then the Raila bashing. So exit Raila, he has stepped out of the shadow, and they realize that they're living in a house of cards. Now they have to look each other in the face, and they cannot stand each other, like a husband and wife who now living in separate bedrooms. So the idea that Murkomen would try to bring in Raila in every conversation is being clever by half. The way he is trying now to say, to include me, I don't know where I come into, where the Ruto and Nani are not together. And listen to the wordings of Murkomen. They are very strong. He says, and if I note what he says, that there used to be harmony, meaning now there is disharmony. He says there used to be comradeship.
Consultation.
Now that what
More
means
meetings.
that is that, yeah, committee.
Yeah.
There used to be consultation, and he has alluded that the issue of this lifestyle audit is not part of what they have agreed on. There was no consultation in it. He says there used to be constant PGs. Those things are no longer there. And he seems to be saying in short that the president has achieved what he wanted, meaning he has used us and he has dumped us. That's really what Murkomen is saying, and pretty much maybe that's what is in the mix. So me, I think it's just a matter of time. Jubilee, really, its time is up, and it has fallen apart already.
Also, during the event that the Deputy President attended over the weekend, it was also very suspect, and somebody brought this to our attention as well, that when the chopper he used had URP colors. And out of the many choppers he would have chosen, but the one he chose to use that day was one that had URP colors. The Deputy President. If you have that shot, I don't know if you still have the story 2 days ago. On that same day, and this is where I want to address the our man syndrome, where Peter Kenneth was proposed, and you said that the only option you have is to protect our man. Now, this again goes back to where the president has the building initiatives program, where they're saying we are uniting the country. Now, to go out and say that the only way tutakusupport 2022 ni ukiweka mtu wetu, na mtu wenyu, as you said, as for now, is Peter Kenneth. What are your comments on the unity, disunity?
One, do you want us to discuss theories or the realities?
It is
no, it is
the reality. That's why we are
okay. I say that because
yes,
if you want us to discuss theories, I'll say no, we are going to have the best candidate there, we are going to have I don't know what. Those are theories.
So what is the reality?
If you want the reality,
yes,
it is a fact. You must, when you are crafting a winning coalition, a winning entity, you must ensure it represents certain regions. That is the reality. So the point is, those of us who come from Muranga County, because I am here by virtue of the people of Muranga, they are very clear. They have told us, they have told me, that when you go up there, negotiate and fight and ensure there is a representative in Muranga, of a person from Muranga, in the entire succession mix. And as of now, I'm not aware of any other person who has expressed an intention to go up there. Myself included, I'm not interested, except Peter Kenneth. So therefore, to the extent Ruto has offered to include Peter Kenneth in his entire political matrix, who comes from Muranga, to me is a plus. To me, it is incumbent upon me as a senator of that region to move into that camp. Any other person who is coming with an alternative matrix, which does not include the people of Muranga, those are my political enemies. So to the extent that Ruto has welcomed Peter Kenneth and the other camp or any other so-called mandarins who are crafting an alternative matrix, they have not provided a person from our region, Muranga County, not Kiambu, Muranga, where I represent, then I will have to fight those other formations. That is the reality.
All right. In that same meeting, before you respond, in that same meeting, there were some people who stood up. I remember that Murkomen was there as well. And he stood up and said, kwa hii handshake, tunaona kuna dawa. Trying to allude to the fact that, like he said, targeting our man. Somebody else who stood there, I think it was Oscar Sudi, hit out at former Prime Minister, NASA leader rather, Raila Odinga, saying that in fact unajua kwani wewe ni Mungu, utatuambia nani atasimama na hata simama. So again, in this, people seem to think the cracks in Jubilee is because of the handshake and because of the introduction of Raila Odinga.
To me, this handshake it has some positive and some negatives.
What are the negatives? Because the positives are outlined in the initiative.
No, I'm talking
what are the negatives?
Political negatives, political positives.
Right.
So we start with the negatives. The negatives, from where I see it, is that we know the history of Raila Odinga. He has always entered into a certain political outfit. He has dismantled those outfits. Not only KANU, but also including, he has mistreated people like these guys from his region. That is my friend, Senator Nani. He has been mistreated. The Senator Moses Wetangula. Also, we have even people like Kalonzo Musyoka. So therefore, that is one of the fear we have, one of the potential negative in this handshake, that he may come into Jubilee and dismantle it. There's also maybe a possibility that he is working in cahoots with the so-called state mandarins who have an issue with Deputy President. But they're also positive also. And when I was giving my speech during that meeting, I highlighted it has also enabled Deputy President to go into what we call coast regions, or what we call die-hard cod regions, and he has been able to fish some people there
like
in a manner.
Aisha Juma.
Yes, Aisha Juma, Dor, in a manner which could have been completely impossible were it not for the handshake. Yeah? You have people like Kingi who are now somehow supportive of Ruto, and those are situations which could have been impossible were it not for the handshake. So therefore, in a sense, there's even another school of thought which is also arguing all these things that you are seeing here, they are shenanigans. Maybe it is a plot by His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy to whitewash Raila Odinga. That's also a possibility. So this idea, and by the way I disagree with Murkomen in a way, to me this handshake, there's a way you can exploit it positively. Those of us or those who support the president and even the deputy president.
I think I'm very disappointed today with my friend Honorable Kangata saying that for William Ruto to succeed as a president, he must get one of their own in the name of Peter Kenneth to be the running mate.
I didn't say that.
These are the same people.
That's what you said.
That's what he said.
No, I say in his matrix. By the way, listen, sorry, I want to explain. He
has difficulty in explanation. When you see somebody in having difficulty, he's trying to do
final point. Final point. Final point. When I say a matrix,
this is my turn.
When I say a matrix, it includes several positions. And by the way, personally, I foresee a change in the constitution that is going to expand the executive, so that when you are going into politics, you not only vote for one or two people, you vote for a coalition of people. So therefore, it may be the Prime Minister, it may be the Deputy President, but at least up there.
Let's allow you continue.
You can see my friend, the great Honorable Senator of the people of Murang'a, having difficulty in explanation, kind of on a fishing expedition to see what can suit him, so that he can be able to align himself to the DP at the same time with the people of Murang'a. Because to me, this issue of tribalism, which he has actually demonstrated, and that's why some of us, we supported the handshake between Raila Amolo Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta. Because we have some people in parliament, instead of coming to legislate, to know what bills are on the floor of the house, they were just coming to bash Raila Amolo Odinga. We no longer see them speaking anymore. And when you are taking tea, they say, hey, sasa si hatuna kazi. Why? Because of the handshake. Because they were surviving on abuses of either side of the political divide. But now with the handshake, some people have become irrelevant. Even when you used to come here, you could see my brother here bashing Raila Amolo Odinga left, right, center. But now with the handshake, they are in difficult situation, because they must be able to be innovative so that they continue remaining relevant. I'm sure those 5 roads, you'll not get others. because they were bashing others. And some of us who do objective politics, I think we support the handshake, and that handshake must be able to be operationalized. And because of our own man syndrome, the way Honorable Kangata has put it across, that's why there's that issue of constitutional amendment. So that maybe from the presidential system, we come to parliamentary system. So that once it comes to parliamentary system, we have the president, we have the deputy president, we have the PM, and the 2 deputies. At least now it can be accommodative. Because me, I thought after Honorable Kangata mentioned that now that the deputy president a good working relationship with Kingi, he should be able to propose Kingi, who is the current governor of Kilifi, to be running mate. But now the same people are like, it is the deputy president who made Peter Kenneth not to be the governor of Nairobi. That's what they say. That our man supposed to have been the governor here, if it were not the deputy president that he came in to help Sonko. This is the public domain. And that's why you see Senator Kangata, and this tribalistic approach, attitude, is what we should, Kenyans cannot move if you're going to have this tribalistic mentality, our own man syndrome. People must be in leadership positions because they have competence and they have what it takes. And there's no one, we are all equal before the eyes of God. Whether you're a Turkana, why are you not proposing, now that Governor Nanok has been working closely, why can't you propose him to be the running mate? Why is it that mentality, that our own man syndrome? And this is what is killing this country. It is the highest time. We must now even look for a way of now having these executive positions to be rotational. Because the tribal element, the strength and the attention we put on presidency, on the executive. Because once you are the president, you can exercise some discretion for the benefit of your people, including people having 5 roads, while in the community you have no road. This is what we have been fighting for. We want equality because we are all Kenyans and we pay taxes. So I think it is, we must be able to look at legislation and see how this executive should be balanced and should be rotational so that also other communities can benefit, not the one-man syndrome of saying one of our own. This is very wrong, and today I'm very disappointed, Senator. No wonder you've been getting the 5 roads, while other places are not getting roads, and you're all taxpayers. I thank you.
I wanted Senator to confirm, which I think it pretty much has, that the deputy president has settled on Peter Kenneth. And if he has, that would be strange, because then it answers your question, is the handshake causing some jitters? Because the deputy president has what, 4 more years to look and shop and decide on a running mate. Why would he want to appear to settle on one now? I think it is because he thinks, or they think, that the central province after the handshake may drift somewhere else, so let's try and secure and hold them before it's very long. So I think the handshake itself looks like has caught some jitters in that corner. Let me answer the issue about this perception that where Raila Odinga goes, he destroys, or where he has entered, he dismantles. The point that needs to be agreed on is Raila Odinga has not gone or entered anywhere. Raila Odinga is not part of Jubilee and is not part of government. That was a handshake, and in that handshake, they have an agenda on what they want to achieve, period. So the whole idea that he will break Jubilee presupposes that he is in Jubilee. Was it 2002 when he entered, when we went into NDP KANU? That was very clear. We disbanded NDP, entered KANU, and was given a position of Secretary General. So it makes sense to make the argument that when he went there, post that things happened. He has not entered Jubilee. He's not taken any position in Jubilee. He's not about to take any position in Jubilee. This idea being peddled by Murkomen and others that is officially appointed an ambassador or an envoy, I think is really hogwash. Then he's trying to talk about the Prime Minister, or His Excellency Raila, has always mistreated people, and I think you mentioned Senator Weta. In this arrangement between Uhuru and Raila, who can mistreat who really? I think if there's any mistreatment that can come out of this handshake, it can only be from the president himself.
All right, and also, meanwhile, the deputy president told those opposed to his tours across the country that he will not be deterred by criticism. He directed these sentiments actually at NASA leader Raila Odinga, or it was seemed to be directed. He said that no one would dictate the agenda for Jubilee, and Ruto was addressing the public at Ringoma Market in Nyamira County, and where he was commissioning a 430 million Karoka water project. Previously, the NASA leader Odinga has criticized Ruto for his early 2022 campaign. If we have that clip of what the deputy president had to say.
I am the principal assistant to the president. and I am doing the work of the government of Kenya. Nimefika Nyamira leo, mambo ya hospitali, mambo ya maji nimekuja kufungua, mambo ya barabara tumekubaliana, mambo ya shule tutafanya saa hizi, mambo ya stima ndio hiyo mimi nimeanzisha. Kwani kazi ya naibu ya rais ni kufanya kazi gani? Sini hiyo? So watu wawache kusumbuka saa ile mimi nafanya kazi nimepatiwa na wananchi wa taifa la Kenya.
Right, so he says that he's working and he's not loosely tangatangari. He's actually doing what he's been told to do. So I guess we'll also get just a few comments from social, from 22422. We have the SMSs, what people have been saying. So there they are. Somebody says, morning, tell the senator we don't want one of our own ideology. Leadership, we need leaders, not joyriders. They did not leave their name. Jim says, the way I see things, Central and Rift Valley have ruled for so long, they have lost steam. The country is in tatters. How I wish others are watching and planning. And then another says, in the next few days, I foresee a situation where those thinking about the highest office will have a reality check. Keep quiet, give up, go back to work. It's development only that will attract Kenyans, not a particular candidate. And Notch says, cracks are there underwater, but Deputy President William Ruto should not be shaken. We all understand mchezo inachezwa, and we are behind him. And that's what the people are saying on 2242. You can still weigh in on that. The SMS line is 2242. What are your sentiments and what the different views that we've got from
I think I want to agree with what the people have said, particularly on the issue of our own man syndrome. It's very, very dangerous for this country. In fact, it propagates tribalism. And for our honorable senator to come on the TV, public TV, national TV, and claim that you want one of our own, me particularly who comes from Western region, I'll be like, hey, we've never ruled. So if it was the issue of one of our own, it is true, Central has ruled this country, Rift Valley has ruled this country, then the focus maybe should be Western or Coast or whatever. And everybody has a right, has an equal opportunity of becoming the president of this country. So some sentiments that are being put across, actually they're very, very dangerous. And maybe to cure this, maybe the only way forward is for the constitutional amendment, so that we can expand the issue of the positions in the executive, so that this one-man syndrome, one of our own syndrome, can be able to be cured.